What's up, everybody? This is Lyle with No Hippie Barbecue. What we're going to be doing today is we're going to be doing some barbecue ribs in our air fryer. Now, I'm using a different air fryer than normal. This particular product is by Nesco, and it was called an air roaster, but that's because it came out long before any of this new air fry stuff came up. But it's the same concept. Basically, it's an enclosed unit with a convection type of a heating system. Anyway, a few people have asked about this. What this is, it can double as a crock pot, it can double as just a roaster, or it can work as an air fryer. Basically what you have is you have a fan that will attach onto this. We're going to go ahead and attach this fan on now. If you see these, I got this in the garage sale. I'm not sure if they make these things anymore or not, but this is probably the most versatile air fryer that I've seen on the market. Anyway, we have this in. We're going to go ahead and plug our fan in. And once we have the fan in, that's it. We're just going to set it on top of our unit. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and set this aside. A lot of people that are watching this video about ribs may not be into barbecue, so they may not know about taking the membrane off of ribs. A lot of people like to leave it on. Some people like to leave it off. Most competitive barbecue cooks are going to take it off. So generally that's what I do, even though this isn't a traditional barbecue. But what you're going to want to do is on the back of these ribs, you see the bones that are here. What we're going to do is get our knife, a butter knife, under some of these bones. Once you have it under these bones, this would work a little bit better with like a paper towel or something, but these look easy to come off. So now we're just pulling the membrane off. And what this does is, first of all, you know, I did a video where there was it was sort of a membrane on, membrane off video where I had some people taste it and see kind of what they thought. In my opinion, a lot of times if you go out to eat a lot of barbecue, they'll leave the membranes on just because it takes a lot of time to pull that off, so they'll leave them on. But it's really kind of hard to chew through that. So a lot of times even people that like the membranes on, they'll take a knife and kind of score it up a little bit so it's not just that one tough piece of membrane. Anyway, we've got the membrane off. Now what we have to do is season them. The rub I'm using was a rub that was sent to me by another YouTube channel called Daily Rambles. And she has a nice little channel. She does some cooking on there. She does some fitness. She does a whole bunch of stuff. I'm going to put a link to her channel in the iCard above and the description below. But what she did was she sent me some barbecue rub. And it is called Hog's Chub Rub. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and lay down a nice little layer of that. Now if you have an Actifry air fryer or a Phillips air fryer, the same thing would work. A lot of times those, I know at least my Actifry is not big enough to cook a full rack of ribs, and this looks like it might even be about 2 bones too short to lay the whole thing down in here. But basically you'd use the same concept. There's another YouTube channel I'm subscribed to that did some ribs in his air fryer. And what he did was he cut his ribs up into individual pieces, and that seemed to work for him. So you know what? I'm going to go ahead and leave a link to that video in the iCard above. Take a look at that video. If you don't have an air fryer that can accommodate a whole rack of ribs, run by there, take a look at his. Otherwise, just use the same method. Cut the ribs into sizes that will fit into your air fryer. Let's talk about this air fryer we have here. On this particular one, I can dial in the temperature. So we're going to go to 300 on this. And it has a lid, like I said, it has the fan on it. So what's going to happen is if I plug this fan in, you can see that that's going to kind of circulate the air around. So let's go ahead and get these ribs in here. Now I had to cut a couple bones off these ribs. This should fit. I'm going to go ahead and set this second rack on the side, and we're going to go ahead and get it plugged in. So we already have the bottom part of this unit plugged in. Now we're going to go ahead and plug in the top, which is going to take this from just a regular roaster to an air fryer. Now we have our fan going, and that's what you see right here. We're gonna go ahead and throw this on. Now, this particular unit is called a roast air oven. The reason this isn't called an air fryer is because there was no such thing as an air fryer when this unit came out. I think the lady I bought this from at the garage sale, who had never used it, said she bought it in 1991. I bought this for $7, but anyway, it's the same exact concept as an air fryer. If you see something like this for sale, this is much more flexible than a traditional air fryer because you can not only roast in it, you can air fry in it, but you can also slow cook in it. Anyway, we're gonna check back on this in a couple hours, see if we need to adjust the temperature at all, and we'll go from there. 3 hours in on this cook, let's go ahead and take a look, see how we're doing. Here's what our ribs are looking like. Now what I'm waiting for is to see this meat kind of starting to pull away from these bones. It does look like they're coming along good, but I am going to turn this down to about 220 degrees. 4 hours in on these ribs, I'm going to go ahead and just check them and see how they're going. I'm going to turn off this top fan right quick just so it's not making as much noise. So they look good to me. What we have is they are pulling back from the bone just a little bit. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and just throw a little bit of glaze on them. And this is just a homemade barbecue sauce. I will thin it out a little bit later, but I just want to get this on here now. And the reason I thin my barbecue sauce off is or thin it out is so it doesn't look like a bunch of lacquer just you know, spread on the ribs. So we will do that a little bit later. I think these are going to be done in about 35-45 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and turn this down to about 205 degrees. These ribs have been cooking for about 4.5 hours. These things are technically done. You could go ahead and eat these. Since I have about 35-40 minutes before my wife gets home, what I'm going to do is I am going to throw some more of this, well, the same barbecue sauce, but I thinned it out with a little bit of apple juice just to give it, like I was saying, more of that glaze kind of a look as opposed to looking like lacquer or something. So this is going to give it a nice sheen to it, and it's going to give us some additional moisture. So I just put some of that on top of these ribs and a little bit on the foil. And now I'm just going to take some squeezed butter. You could just take some regular pats of butter, and we're just going to kind of go over the top of these ribs. Now this is totally extra. This is kind of taking it to another level. Technically, cut these, eat them. As a matter of fact, those little two that I cut off earlier, I already ate those, so those are good. Now we're going to do, if you have time, wrap them up in this foil. And it really depends on kind of what kind of a slow cooker or what kind of air fryer you have. You may not even have this option if yours isn't big enough to hold this. But now what I'm going to do, we're just going to throw these back in and let them go for another 30 minutes. Then it's going to be a done deal. So here's what our final product looks like. I'm going to go ahead and cut a rib off of this, do a taste test, and see what I think about these. Taste test and see how these ribs turned out with this hog's chub rub on it. Well, these are decent ribs. About as good as you're going to get in an oven or an air fryer. You obviously don't have that smoke. You don't have that color that goes along with smoked ribs. But you know what? Not everybody has a smoker. Not everybody wants to do it. Flavor on these is good. It is missing that dimension of smoke. This rub did do a good job. That glaze I put on it. Anyway, if you have an air fryer, like I said, some air fryers that have the paddles in them, I would cut these up into maybe 2 bone sections. Throw those in until they get cooked as much as you want. If you have like a Phillips air fryer or something along those lines, some of the bigger ones that have, you know, they're kind of circular, you might be able to get away with just cutting these in half. But if you're out at a garage sale, I'm telling you, this right here, I'm telling you, love my air fryer, Actifry air fryer. This right here, if you want to do a lot of stuff at one time, this is the go-to one. And I keep forgetting about that being an air fryer. Normally I'm just using it like it's a crock pot. Anyway, let me quit running my mouth. Thanks for stopping by No Hippie Barbecue. Hey, Don at Daily Rambles, thanks for sending this. Again, if you guys are into do a little bit of cooking, do some yard work, do a whole bunch of other stuff, run by Don's channel. Like I said, channel's in the description and the iCard above. Anyway, again, thanks for stopping by No Hippie Barbecue. Comment, subscribe. I'm out.